Good evening and welcome back to the Celtic Way. I am your host John McGinley. I'm joined by Ryan McGinley at Fir Park, where he's just witnessed Celtic 3, Motherwell 1. A comfortable win for Celtic in the end, with a fair amount of talking points, Ryan, coming out of that. I know we're not live tonight, we're having to record this. There's a few connection issues, there's a few technical issues, but we're here recording a video, uploading this and speaking about this, shortly after the full-time whistle. As I say, talking points. Dyson made a strong first half performance. Idah getting back on the score sheet after his goals at Villa Park, and the emotional return of Jota. Literally emotional after he scored that third goal in a substitute cameo appearance. How did you view the game? How are you viewing all those things? We'll probably start with Jota. That seems to be the big talking point coming out of the game.
It is, yeah, and he obviously will steal the headlines because it's Jota coming back, the superstar from Portugal. There was quite a bit of fanfare when he came out to do his training before the game. You could feel that there was a bit of excitement in the air after 18 months. He's back. He's back probably quicker than we thought he was going to be. I thought he'd be back at Celtic at some point in his career, but to be here 18 months after he left is a bit of a surreal moment. To see him then training, you heard the roar in the crowd as he was called back by Brendan Rodgers, and then he came onto the pitch and he put himself about. Yes, he's a little bit rusty at the moment. That'll come. His sharpness will come with game time. There was one run in particular that he made right before his goal, in which he beat 2 or 3 players, and that's vintage Jota. That's the Jota that we want to see, and we will see in the coming weeks, you'd hope. But to be in the right place at the right time, a great ball in from Dyson Idah, put it on a plate for Jota, and it was a great finish from the Portuguese winger. Very emotional. You can see him crying from the videos that we've seen so far. The trademark celebration came out. It feels like all is well again in Jota's career all of a sudden after those 18 months away. So it was a great moment for all involved.
It is interesting because everyone's talking about how long it's going to take him to get back up to speed. But for me, watching, it seemed like it took about 15 minutes for him to start looking dangerous every time he touched the ball, which is fairly impressive considering he's not had the most amount of football over the last 18 months. I think we'll see Jota. I think Rodgers will be careful with his minutes over the coming weeks. I think he'll continue to be a substitute for a couple of games yet. But I think him coming off the bench, getting that confidence, he's obviously feeling it. He's feeling the love of the Celtic support. He's feeling joy in his football again. And that must be so satisfying for him. And it was fantastic to see him cap off, round off the Celtic performance with another goal, because it was 2-1 at that point, a tight scoreline, but it wasn't it wasn't a tight game. Celtic were in command of that game for almost the entire 90 minutes, and I thought they fully deserved the third goal as a team. How did you see the game overall today?
Do you know, it was complete dominance from Celtic from essentially start to finish in the game. So, as we've mentioned before, Dyson Idah was absolutely incredible today. 3 goal contributions. I tweeted out at the end of the first half, I said, Maedah's coming for that Player of the Year award. The numbers don't lie anymore. He's nearly getting double digits in goals and assists. Brendan Rodgers has improved him tenfold. I thought he'd be one of the first players to leave when Ange Postecoglou left the club. Instead, he's become such a vital cog in this Brendan Rodgers machine, and he's managed to modify his game and really be less careless on the ball. Everything that he's doing has a bit of purpose. He's still got those odd moments of slackness, but they're becoming few and far between now, and he's really been an important member of the team. Motherwell couldn't deal with him in the first half. Had a bit of a quieter second half, but it shows that he's a 90-minute player because he's there in the 92nd, 93rd minute, making things happen, making an assist happen. Delighted for him, delighted for the overall team. I thought in the first half, they had it a little bit too easy in the first 20-25 minutes. It was kind of similar to the Dundee game, in which they started well, they scored within a minute, and then they maybe took their foot off the gas and they allowed Motherwell to get back in it. Apart from that shot and another speculative effort, Motherwell had nothing in the game and Celtic were completely dominant. A well-deserved 3 points, well-deserved 3 goals. I'm just delighted for everybody involved, particularly in those forward areas. Despite there's been a lot of talking about new strikers coming in, new wingers coming in, the players that have arrived or the players that are already here have shown that they can step up and be counted for when they're called upon, basically.
Yeah, and it took Celtic less than a minute to get on the path towards victory. Anthony Ralston with a quality ball in for Dyson Idah to head home, as you say, and I think his finishing's really improved under Rodgers. I think that's probably what I would say is one of the big improvement in Dyson Idah's overall game. Is just he looks lethal in front of goal when he does get chances now. You fancy that he's going to stick one or two away if he gets enough opportunities. And I don't know if we could really say that from his first couple of years at the club. He was getting himself into good positions, but that finishing just always felt like it was a bit ramshackle. But I think again today he showed that he can deliver. And as you mentioned, I thought in that first half he was pretty superb, and as you say, Motherwell couldn't deal with him. I thought down that left side, Celtic were just really strong. Greg Taylor, Ray Tate was involved, and Luke McCowan was enjoying the runs of Idah Maeda, and it was really that left side that powered Celtic towards a lead by the interval. So that would be particularly pleasing for supporters, I would suggest. And although Motherwell got back into it, their goal didn't really come from anything. It was a strange one. Carter Vickers was kind of pushed off the flight of the ball. He was kind of thinking that he should have got a foul for that. There was nothing on VAR. Austin Trusty obviously a little bit clumsy with how he deals with the ball. They stick it away, but apart from that, Motherwell didn't really threaten Celtic at all, I would suggest.
No, I would completely agree with that. They were quite, I don't want to say weak, but they weren't really in the game. They were quite ineffective in the forward areas. Now, I think that potentially Celtic's defence was there for the taking if they did push on forward a little bit, because I think Trusty, particularly in the first half, he did solidify in the second half. In the first half he looked very, very shaky. I mean, that sort of slip, or the poor cross, or the poor clearance rather, from Austin Trusty allows Armstrong to get the shot away. It was kind of similar to his kind of mistake that he had against Aberdeen away from home, but he got punished for this one rather than Cameron Carter-Vickers bailing him out. There's a slight shout for a push on Cameron Carter-Vickers, but unfortunately that's going to go against him when he's when he's tall, he's strong, and they'll just say he needs to be stronger on the ball or in those areas. But it was a bit of a shock more than anything else. It wasn't down to sustained pressure. It was just down to Celtic being slack in that one moment and Motherwell punishing them. But apart from that, it was one-way sailing for the vast majority of the game, and Celtic did well to get back on top when it counted.
And there was even less threat from Motherwell in the second half, I would suggest.
Yeah, they had nothing.
Celtic had a couple of disallowed goals. The Adam Idah one looked very tight. Don't know if you've seen the lines on the VAR on that, but
I have, yes.
The lines were about as tight as lines could get, and I'm not sure we have the high definition cameras enough to be able to tell whether that's offside or not. I'm not sure about the technology used there. It's
Fir Park again, isn't it? Remember Jota's goal that he scored a couple of years ago?
But that goes against Celtic. But Adam Idah wasn't frustrated at all. I mean, I thought he had a really solid performance, backing up what he did at Villa Park. He's obviously in the right place and the right time to take his goal, but I thought he was a persistent nuisance for the Motherwell defence. Apart from that, putting a lot of effort into his performance, hits the post with a low drive. Good signs from Idah. I think he really needed this week to set up the rest of his season, because everyone's asking questions about him in the wake of Kyogo's exit. Nobody really knows what's going to happen in the transfer window at the end on deadline day tomorrow. Idah needed these two games to show, I can step into the shoes of Kyogo, I can be the main striker at Celtic, and I can score goals, and today help Celtic towards 3 points.
Yeah, it wasn't a perfect performance from Idah, but he was being a nuisance when it mattered.
Yeah.
Not everything was coming off for him, but I want him to be involved. And that's one thing that you can always say about Idah. He'll always give you 100% effort in every single game. That's sometimes to his detriment, because he's so front-facing. He's always there on the ball. So when he makes a mistake, it's very obvious because he's trying to make things happen. But he's brave, he's courageous, and he keeps on going. And he doesn't allow himself to get put down by any chances that he misses, because he keeps on going for the next one. The past 11 days have been massive for Adam Idah ever since that Young Boys intervention from him. It's obviously the own goal, but if he makes the run, he allows that mistake to happen by pressurising the defence and the goalkeeper. Then those two goals against Aston Villa, and now a goal today, an important goal today, especially when it went to one each in the game. So it's his most important goal, you would say, for Celtic this season so far, because it got them back on top. You look at the other goals that he scored. I know that he scored against Aston Villa twice, and those were big goals, but it was still a defeat at the end of the day. That goal was the one that sealed it. The Jota goal was the icing on the cake at the very end of the game, but Idah's goal was so important, and the timing of that goal, it changed the narrative positively for Celtic, and it's a ground that he loves. That's 3 appearances he's made at Fir Park, and I think he's got 4 goals, I believe. So it's a happy hunting ground for Idah, and long may that continue. Hopefully, he can bring that to some of the home games upcoming as well.
talk to us about the reception that Jota got from supporters at the ground. Obviously, there was a lot of anticipation, a lot of excitement before he'd even taken the field. But the response when he was substituted on was rapturous, I assume. And just talk to us a bit about how the support received Jota today.
Yeah, you're giving me the showcase or the stage to talk about Jota. I'll happily take that with both hands. That was just a great moment, a euphoric moment. Him coming onto the pitch, you could feel the aura coming back onto the pitch as well. He brings that with him. He's now got the number 7 on his back due to Lewis Palmer leaving to go to Olympiacos. I think that's a perfect decision. I know there's pressure on that. But Celtic have had pretty good wingers in the past that have wore the number 7, and he's a player that can very much fit into that sort of expectation. So delighted to see him back. The crowd, they were singing his song even when he was warming up before the game. Then they were singing the song again when he was warming up during the game. And then he came on and they started singing it again. I don't think the novelty's worn off at all with Jota being back. It's still a bit surreal. I don't know about you. I feel quite surreal. It's quite a surreal feeling seeing him back so soon. But delighted all the same. And he's at the right place at the right time. I think that's actually, the 3 debuts that he's had for Celtic. Firstly on loan, then as a permanent player the first time, and a permanent player the second time he scored. Because I believe that's Raith Rovers, Aberdeen, and Motherwell. He scored on his 3 collective debuts. So brilliant for him. He's an impact player, and he's already made an impact on the start on the team coming off the bench. If that's the start, can't wait to see what he's like in 2 or 3 weeks' time. He's going to be an important player, but it'll be such a good partnership as well. Those two. And Idah and Jota with the numbers that those two can get. Because Maeda's a far better player than when Jota was here the first time, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I think, everyone will be talking about how effective Jota can be, but you forget, or maybe a lot of people didn't forget, I forgot, but when you're watching the game today, it was easy to forget just how enjoyable it is to watch Jota play. It's just so, when he's on the ball, he's got excellent poise, he plays with his head up, he's got excellent balance, he's got a lovely touch, and I think that was all on show today. Obviously, still working up to back to full fitness. No one's expecting miracles from Jota too soon, but I did think, what fans would have wanted to see was just flashes of the brilliance that marked him out as so successful in his first spell here, and I think we got those flashes actually. I think we got those little Jota moments, those little bits of Jota excitement, and as I say, 15-20 minutes and you're starting to think every time Jota gets the ball here. I think by that point Scales had been substituted on and Scales was kind of feeding Jota. Every time Jota was getting the ball you were thinking he could do something here, something might happen here, he gets this goal and the emotion out of him, I don't know if I expected that really. I think in modern football emotion is taken out of football a lot. That's something I've noticed. I'm getting on a bit now, but over the last 20 years, I think I've noticed that there used to be a lot more emotion in football, a lot more anger in football, a lot more joy in football sometimes, and I think over time that's just been eroded with how even more professional footballers are getting. But Jota, it was great to see that emotion, and I think that's what endears him to the Celtic support and makes him such a perfect player for the Celtic support. Because as we know, Celtic are an emotional fan base and emotional support, and they're always going to respond to a player who shows that. And I enjoyed seeing that from Jota today.
He wears his heart on his sleeve, and I think the Celtic supporters really like that from. He is a throwback player. I totally agree with what you're saying. A lot of the emotion of football has been taken out due to the intervention of stats. Stats are important, but technology as well with VAR. You look at a couple of moments today when VAR was involved. You don't know if you can celebrate a goal. You have to wait until it's given. Then it was given offside. It's just there's a lot of intervention in football now. But Jota's a throwback, and you can see the joy that he had. That was 18 months of misery taken out on that just one tap in. It's a tap in, but he's in the right place at the right time. It's what it signifies as well. We're going to finally see Jota under Brendan Rodgers, a man that's known for improving wingers. If he can be anywhere near he was at his first spell, or his first couple of spells at the club, I think he'll be better this time around because he's working under Rodgers. Rodgers said that he's going to have stuff to improve on. He's got so many positive qualities, but he's still got a bit to go. He's entering into the prime of his career. I just think everything is working out perfectly for the player. He's in a place that he knows, he's in a place that he loves, a manager that rates him, a manager that knows how to work with players like him. the signs look good for the future, and what a great start. Break that duck within 20, 25 minutes of coming onto the football pitch. Have that moment with the fans. It's like he's never been away almost.
And the thing about showing that kind of emotion at the end, it shows that stuff that he says when he's coming back, it's not just all platitudes. Again, that's something, football media and the way footballers approach media has become very rehearsed in recent years too. And a lot of similar sentiments are expressed when a player signs for a club or a player returns to the club. And so I think it's nice for supporters to see how much it actually does mean to Jota. I mean, it's important, and I think, obviously that will only enhance the relationship between the supporter and the player going forward. So I think all round a positive day, Ryan. I think if you look at Maeda, you look at Idah, you look at Jota, three players that are looking very strong, and other standouts this season weren't as involved too much today, but that's fine. You want different players to be stepping up at different times. We've got another midweek game coming up now. We've got a Scottish Cup game coming up now. We've got a transfer deadline day coming up. So 3 important little steps again on the path of the season over the next week. And Celtic look like they'll get the stuff on the pitch right at least. And I guess we'll find out tomorrow, Ryan, if they'll get the stuff off the pitch right too.
Yeah, hopefully it's a busy day tomorrow, because I still think they're quite light in a couple of positions. I think it's on a bit of a knife edge in terms of it being an okay transfer window. Jota's back and he's made that immediate impact, so there's obviously going to be a positive slant in the transfer window. You got him back. You still to replace Kyogo. You still need a left back option until the summer with Kieran Tierney coming back in and Greg Taylor leaving. If it was me, I would want Celtic to go and buy a young left back that can develop in the background of Kieran Tierney, but give him some game time and get him used to and acclimatised to the situation. The striker position, it seems to be moving with every single hour, to be honest. We thought it was going to be Kelechi Iheanacho yesterday. Now he's going to Middlesbrough. There's been a couple of other players, Strelic getting linked from Slovan Bratislava. You've got Kvistgaarden as well, although it looks as if talks have been broken down between the two relevant parties. So I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, but it should be pretty exciting regardless. I think there will be some signings made. I think Rodgers will be quite confident that he can get the players in that is required, because he needs to. He's got a big game against Bayern Munich coming up just along the horizon. He's fighting 2 free competitions still this season. You need the squad to be able to deal with that, and just to keep on going and keep on progressing. Don't want to be reactive here. I want to be proactive and get the squad going as good as it can be. And by doing that, it's by backing the manager in the transfer window. So hopefully 2, maybe 3 signings tomorrow. That's my hope. If that happens, will be a different story maybe. But I live in hope. I'm going to be an optimist and say that they'll get the business done that's required tomorrow, between tonight and tomorrow. Hopefully there is some transfer news that comes out pretty imminently in that regard, because if it doesn't happen now, then it never will, to be honest.
I think there'll be developments either way, I think, over the next 12 to 14
Absolutely.
hours. I think tomorrow on the channel, the Celtic Way, we're doing the morning briefing as usual, and then I think we're doing an evening show, a transfer show, just to either review the window or talk about the day's events or what's come in.
Yep.
So hopefully we can get stuck into a positive day tomorrow as well. Listen, Ryan, we'll wrap that up today. I know we had a few problems with the live streams today, and we apologise for that. And we're just, it was a connection thing really, and that's what happens sometimes when you're out and about at the grounds. But hopefully that you've enjoyed this video, and as I say, we'll be back tomorrow with plenty more chat. Ryan, any final thoughts before we head off?
No, 3 points and up the road. Can't complain about that. That's Fir Park has been quite a difficult ground in recent years for Celtic to come to a lot of close games. Although it was close in scoreline today until right at the very end, they were pretty comfortable, and that's good that the past 2 games have been like that. So delighted with that. 3 points, and let's see what they can do tomorrow in the transfer window.
Thanks everyone for watching the video. As always, we'll be back on Monday with plenty more. I've been John McGinley. We've had Ryan McGinley at Fir Park. We are the Celtic Way, and I hope you join us again next time. Goodbye.